Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Silicon Nubian, all things tech discussed here. Today, in continuing the ongoing series on installing Linux, we present to you one of the most popular Linux distributions available today, Fedora. Fedora, supported and developed by the Fedora project, is based on Red Hat Linux, and it is also run in very close collaboration with the Red Hat Linux company, and as such is a fantastically supported Linux distribution with a very active community, by the way. Fedora it can trace its roots all the way back to the beginning of consumer level grade Linux distributions when Red Hat was just Red Hat prior to Red Hat becoming a corporate concern. It's got a long history. It's actively developed, and new versions are sought after and looked for very, very rapidly in the Linux community. What we have today is we're going to run the installation of the latest beta of Fedora 22, which should go live sometime this month of May 2015. I've seen estimates at the 26th of May or whatever, but you know what? When it's ripe, it'll drop. So today we have Fedora 22 Beta 3, and we're going to run the installation. What you see on the screen in front of you is what's presented after booting up the live media. Two choices: try Fedora. Of course, as in other Linux distributions, this will run it in live media mode, not touching your hard drive at all, and you'll be able to kick the tires, as it were, and check out the features and whatnot. But we're more interested in showing the install of Linux. So we're going to click directly on Install to Hard Drive. This will begin the installation process, and should be fairly straightforward, if not a little bit different from some other Linux distributions. As you can see up here, Fedora 22 installation pre-release testing. This is the workstation edition. There are a few official editions of Fedora, and there are some derivatives of Fedora floating around, quite a number at least. Not maybe as much as Ubuntu derivatives, but still quite a bit. We'll keep the default, English, United States, English. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm in Canada. Let's represent. And we go continue. It's telling you that this is unstable pre-release software. You wake up inside an OS installer in Timbuktu. It's 6 months in the future. They have quite a sense of humor. But for the sake of this series, we're going to continue. I accept my fate. And we'll see what happens. There we go. Please complete. Item is marked with this icon before continuing to the next step. Installation destination. Here we can, it's interesting. This is a departure from what we've seen with the various Ubuntu installs or Ubuntu derivatives such as Mint. Even different from what we've seen with Magia and whatnot. It's, of course, a graphical install, but it's different, but not in a more difficult way. It's actually very pleasing to me. I like it. So we'll check the keyboard layout, English. That's fine. Test the layout. We don't have to. We'll do the English US. Okay. Click on Done. Time and date. America's Winnipeg. Of course, we'll have to change that. America's. And we'll see if Montreal is listed. Probably not. Then we scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Montreal is not listed. We'll pick the closest city next to Montreal, which would probably be listed as Toronto. Although I'm not in Toronto. Here we go. That'll give us our proper time zone. We're in the same time zone anyways. Very good. By default, network time protocol is on. Interesting. We'll leave it as such. Done. Network and host name. What do you want to call this machine on the network? We'll call it Fedora Test. Please be free to call it whatever you want. Okay? For the sake of this video, we're just going through it. More so for the people who haven't installed Linux before, we're trying to use the simplest settings possible But if you're on a network, you want to give your computer a unique name. Okay? What I like too is the mouse overs. It shows you right away that I'm connected to a wired internet, America's Toronto time zone, and English US keyboard. So even by mouse overs, it can tell you what the settings are instead of having to go in there manually and double check. Now here we have a warning: installation destination, automatic partitioning selected. We have a 20 gig drive on the virtual machine, and we're going to use that drive. Okay, we're not going to, you can add hard drives at this time or add disks, SSDs, whatever. This is great for more advanced users who want to have a more complicated setup. Automatically configure partitioning. This is what we're going to stay with for the sake of this series. You can configure partitioning, which will run a partition manager for you to manually assign all of your partitions. I would like to make additional space available and, of course, encrypt my data. We don't need that for the sake of this installation, just to know that these are very viable options for you to use, but more so for medium to advanced users. New users can just accept the defaults. Please be aware that by accepting the automatic partitioning, that whatever information you have on the hard drive will be erased and be replaced with a fully working Fedora install. Done? And there we go. Begin installation, and we get started. This is interesting too in Fedora, because while the install is working, you can set up your root password. Okay, I've used a pretty weak password, and it's giving me a warning down here. It says press done again. You would put a much more intricate password. Okay, something that has uppercase, lowercase. Remember, passwords are case sensitive. This is Linux. And probably some numbers in it. User creation, you want to create a user. My name is Ben. Username, Linux user, password. Require password to log in, and also make this user an administrator. Be careful with this, because anybody who has that, this user will be given administrator rights, which means you can make or break the system. Click on done. Again, it's talking about weak password. It's okay, which means I'll probably have to click done twice. And then we sit back. I like this feature. It's cool. It's cool. It's different. It allows you the install to run in the background while you're doing some last minute configuration options, which in some Linux distributions, they wait till the install is done, and only after the reboot that they ask you this. So this is kind of a time, will help you to save time, I should say, a time saver, and I like that option. What I'm going to do now is pause the video and come back after the install is complete. See you soon. Okay, we're back. That install in a virtual machine running off of an ISO for bootable media took under 5 minutes. Now, your mileage may vary. It's probably going to be longer on typical systems, on real hardware. It's about in line with all the other Linux distributions I've used of late in this series. I'm going to have to do an install sometime soon on real hardware to see the differences, but it's quite quick, to be honest with you. So now it's asking us to quit and reboot to start using the fully installed system. Sorry, not the live system. So what I'm going to do now is pause the video one more time, reboot the machine, and show you a fully working Fedora desktop. Be right back. Okay, I'm back after a very quick reboot. Here we have our login screen. And there we have it. Fedora has been installed, ready to use. Really, how easy can it get? I hope this series of videos debunks or puts to rest any notion that Fedora's or any other Linux distribution, most of them, not all, some still have very intense installs, but those are specialized distributions in my opinion. But in terms of the top 5 distributions out there, it's installing Linux has become dead simple. The first boot up of Fedora, we'll choose our language. English Canada selected. We've done that before. The type of typing. Select your keyboard layout. Of course, English US is done. I guess this is giving you an option to change stuff that you may have started, that you may have changed your mind when you were doing the initial install. Location services, allow application to determine your geographical location. Well, you can turn this on or off. This is an interesting thing. I didn't see this in the last install of an earlier version of Fedora. Automatic trouble reporting. This sends crash reports and all these other reports to the Fedora project, I would suppose, and for them to aid them in further development. I'm not sure if this is actually going to be options that will be on when they hit the RC, the release candidate or the full release, but we'll leave all those on for now. Connect to your online accounts. This is interesting. I saw this in the installation of Fedora 20, where you can automatically connect to your Google, OwnCloud, Windows Live, or Facebook accounts. I'm going to skip that, and you're all set. There we are. There's our beautiful Fedora desktop. Doesn't look like much. And here's the Getting Started page, which comes up. We'll get rid of that. We don't need that right now, but if you're a new user or fresh to installing Fedora, you might want to go through that. And that concludes our video. We have installed Fedora 22, Beta 3, sorry. Fedora 22 Beta 3, it's moving so fast. And as you can see right away, we have a fully functional desktop in very little time. I think on real hardware, if you follow these videos and you just go mostly with the defaults, you should have Linux installed, up and running from the time you put the disk in to the full install in under 20 minutes. Your mileage may vary, and as you grow more comfortable with Linux, or you are already an advanced user, it wouldn't take much longer, because you know exactly what you want to do with respect to the more advanced options during the installation. So that concludes the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please leave comments and suggestions. Take care.